Okay, thank you so much. Um, Thank you, Mark, for that wonderful prayer. And for sure, we pray that may the Lord guide us through the entire lesson. So allow me take this opportunity to welcome everyone to today's lesson. And I hope we are going to behave. Yes, some of you are just using the chat, typing things that are not even helping some of us. So please use the chat productively. Whatever you put in the chat, really, let it be something productive. Use the chat to either ask a question, if you have not understood something, but those things of just using the chat to ask whether someone has watched a certain program and all that, no. So please, let's use the chat productively. And let's respect each other. My request is let's also respect each other. I don't expect to see people really writing things on my screen as I share. Please, let's respect each other. We are all here to learn. You have come here to learn. So those things of wanting to be seen, doing things to be seen or for people to see that you're, I don't know, you're so, I don't know. So please don't bring your, I don't know what to call it. So anyway, my point is let's respect each other. Respect my screen. If you don't want to take notes or if you don't want to be a part of this lesson, just exit. No one is forcing you to be here. Some of you have been using, have been writing things on the screen and very unnecessary things. A teacher mentions something and you cross it. What is that? That is really bad manners. So that is not the people that we want. Those are not the leaders that we are grooming. Please, respect is very vital. All right, so I am going to let me see, I want to make someone my co-host so that the person helps me with the muting and unmuting. I'm seeing Princess. Okay, Princess. So Princess, you'll help me with the muting and unmuting because I have muted everyone. People were just making unnecessary noise. Someone was even singing. Your audio was on and you were singing. I wish you could listen to yourself sing before even turning your audio on. So, Princess, you help me with the muting and unmuting. Only unmute when really it's necessary for you to unmute someone. Let me see. So, Princess, you are a co-host. And I know that you're going to make a wonderful co-host, just like we did last week. All right. All right. So who can remind us where we stopped last week? Anyone to remind us where we stopped last week? Yes, Muhezi before. Muhezi.
Patricia.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Last time in summary writing, we finished to look at how to write a summary, all the aspects, whatever was needed there. Then we're going to look at sample summaries. That's what I remember.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia. Very true. We looked at summary writing. Any other person apart from Patricia?
Frank, kindly unmute.
It's okay. Good morning. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, Frank.
We looked at summary writing and you said we must use one paragraph when we are writing a summary.
Thank you very much, Frank. Very true. We said that you must use one paragraph when writing a summary. Very true. Thank you.
Welcome, madam.
Maybe we pick two more hands.
Okay. Linda, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
I remember we had different questions learners have when it comes to summary writing.
For example,
Is the title punctuated or? And we say that it's not punctuated at all. And we say that we are using capital letters because if you use small letters, you won't be able to know which words are to start with the capital letters. So in total, we say that we should use capital letters only when we are writing the title.
thank you. Very true. Thank you so much, Linda. All right. I think those are some of the things that we did last week. And like I said, we will continue this week with summary writing. Summary writing is quite wide. And summary writing is quite wide. And I know that by the end of really the 2 weeks that we have, you'll have something to do with that. I know you'll not go back to your schools the same. I am seeing Emma's hand is up. Emma, your hand is still up. Do you have something to say?
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Like last time when you were talking about summary writing, you said that when the title should have the article there. Like maybe if you're writing about the disadvantages of corruption, you should put that disadvantages of corruption in the title.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Emma.
You're welcome.
Yeah, very true. I remember we mentioned that sometimes people forget the article and just write disadvantages of something and leave the article. So it's very important for you to include the article if the article is in the scenario. Okay. Phoebe, do you have something to say?
Yes, madam. So in the last lesson, we also talked about the rough copy. And you said that the rough copy is also part of summary writing. So one shouldn't cross it out. It is the person that is going to mark that crosses it out. So it is also important in summary writing. Yeah.
Very true. Thank you so much, Phoebe. So the title is very important. So sometimes some of us, sorry, not the title, the rough copy. So sometimes what some of us do is that we cross out the rough copy after writing, or we just highlight points or just list. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to write the rough copy in one paragraph and ensure that it has a title. It's also well punctuated because it is part of your work. So that's very true. Thank you, Phoebe. Okay, so let's move to today's lesson. I think today we were supposed to start with word reduction methods. We are going to see how do we reduce our words. Sometimes some of us have, for example, the teacher says use about 80 words and you end up having around 120 words. So we are going to see what is it that we do that really makes us have so many words, or what should we do to reduce the number of words that we use. Share my screen. Okay. I hope you can all see my screen now.
Yes, madam.
All right, thank you. Okay, so can I have someone to be the student? We're looking at word reduction methods.
Favor, kindly unmute.
Yes, word reduction method.
Maybe before she reads, let me first respond to some question that is in the chat. Allow me first take my water because okay, sorry, thank you. So someone says that, why is it that in my school, when the title is written, the first letters of the keywords are in capital and the rest are in small letters? And we end up using a full stop and then underline it, e.g., the causes of diseases. First, full stop on a title. Is it a sentence? No. Like, for example, when you say the advantages of a large family, that is a statement. It is not the advantages of a large family. Then you put a full stop? No. Titles, you don't put full stops at the end of a title. But for using small letters, capitalizing the initial words, the most important words, that is very okay. But like I said last time, sometimes students forget. They don't know which one is the most important word or the key word. Which one is the key word for me to start with a capital letter in this title? And so I say that sometimes students forget, they don't know, and they end up messing up and they end up losing the mark or the score that is given to the title. So I said, for me as a teacher, I encourage my students to stick to using capital letters, not underlined, and then no full stop. It is a title, it is not a sentence. Which is the appropriate tense of the summary writing? We shall also look at that, Emmanuel. But the tense of the summary depends on the question, on the scenario you have been given. Okay, let me see any other. Okay. So I think that is it. Is it a must to start with the? It depends if it is in the scenario. If it is in the scenario you've been given, yes. If it's not there, there's no need for you to include the article if it's not there. Like, for example, you have a title like, explain to your classmates the effects, the causes and effects of pollution. Of course, the title will be the effects and causes of pollution. Maybe then someone tells you to maybe write, maybe talk about advantages of maybe a large family. So you just have advantages of a large family because you don't have the article there. All right, that is it. Some of the things that I've seen in the chat. So please, class, I still insist, let us use the chat productively. Those things of you asking your own things, unnecessary things in the chat, please stop it. Please stop it. And let us also pay attention because as someone is saying, are we still on summary writing? Can you imagine? So pay attention. You have come here to study. You've not come here to just interact and talk about useless things in the chat. If I see you typing anything useless in the chat, I'm going to remove you and put you in the waiting room. I promise. They'll not let you in until you apologize. Okay, I'm seeing a few hands up. I don't know whether they have questions regarding what we had talked about last week. Favor, do you have a question?
No, they had unmuted me to be the student in
Oh,
the
okay. What
reading.
about Frank? Okay. All right, Favor, let's continue. You can read.
Word reduction methods. Please throw more light on the word reduction methods hinted on in step 4. That is my major challenge.
Thank you, Favor. So the first method is to pull out individual words from a sentence which you think can be left out without affecting the meaning. For example, in a sentence like, each and every citizen must have love for his country. Those are 10 words, right? You can see that. You can leave out the underlined words and say, every student must love his country. And you see that the first person is using 10 words. Then we have someone here using 6 words. So what we talk about pulling out individual words from the sentence, which you think can be left out without affecting the meaning. Like for example, someone says maybe that maybe one of the causes of road accidents is what? Is maybe a reckless driving by reckless driving by drivers who are drunk, on phone, who are confused, who are depressed, and all that. So you see that that is just extra information. The point there is reckless driving is caused by road accidents. Is one of the causes of road accidents is reckless driving. So you don't have to give the examples of drivers. So you just stick to reckless driving because it still doesn't affect the meaning of the sentence. So for example, each and every citizen must have love for his mother country. So we are saying that we can leave out some words that we think we can do away with without affecting the meaning of the word. So, but we are told that, however, for some sentences, you cannot take out any word and you have to copy them the way they are. If you feel like if you remove a word or if you remove words, then the meaning of that sentence will change. Then you don't have to remove any word. Then the other thing you should know about this method is that there are some descriptive or qualifying words that you must not touch because they are key to accuracy of the meaning. For example, let's look at this example. Taking excessive alcohol impairs one's reasoning capacity. For instance, class, if someone says, if someone removes the word excessive and simply says, taking alcohol impairs one's reasoning capacity. So you see that the exactness of the meaning will not be the same. And you might be given like half a mark, or you might not even be given a mark at all because of removing the word that qualifies that sentence. The word that gives more information. It's not just taking alcohol, but it is taking excessive alcohol. So there are words we are saying that are qualifiers or words that are descriptive that are very important to that are very important in making a sentence meaningful. So we are seeing that the exactness of the meaning will not be the same. And then but at least someone can say taking excessive alcohol impairs one's reasoning. You can remove the capacity. Because still when someone says my reasoning capacity and someone says my reasoning, it still means the same thing. And it's still removing that word capacity will not change the meaning of the word or the meaning of, or the meaning of the entire sentence. I hope we are together. And then in some cases, the meaning completely changes when you leave out a word. For example, when someone says, workers are not paid well, and someone says, workers are paid. Sorry, workers are not paid well, and workers are not paid. Class, who can tell me the difference between those two sentences? Anyone? Princess, can we have someone?
SK.
I think this means workers are not paid. It means that they're not paid at all. But then workers are not paid well. They are paid, but not properly. They are paid in little amounts and some little and some more. Thank you.
Very true. Thank you, SK. So that's very true. So you can, class, you can see the difference. That sometimes you might decide to remove a word and for sure you change the entire meaning of that particular sentence. So we should be very careful when removing words. So you only remove words that you feel can be done away with, or words that you feel are not maybe necessary or does not make okay, in simple terms, words that will not interfere with the meaning of the sentence. All right, and so let's continue, Favor.
Teacher, you are the best.
Thank you so much. So the second method is to leave out a whole clause or a section of a sentence that you think is unnecessary. For example, you could be summarizing the qualities that boys due for circumcision should have in a sentence like, so here pay attention. We are saying that you can leave out a whole clause, J404. I am going to remove you the next time I see you there on my screen. So I'm saying that don't get confused by that word clause. A clause is simply a part of sentence. So for example, the candidates for circumcision must show courage, just like their predecessors have done for generations. So there we have 15 words. And then we can have someone saying, the candidates for circumcision must show courage. We have 7 words. So class, I don't know whether you're seeing that when someone okay. Princess, can you still hear me?
Yes, please, madam.
Princess?
Yes. We can hear you.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so sorry, someone was trying to call it. I'm hotspotting from my phone, so there was a bit of a network or internet. So my internet was affected. All right, so I was trying to say that just as their predecessors have done for generation. It's just giving you more information that these candidates must show courage. So you can do away with the other part of the sentence, a section of the sentence, because it's just adding more information. Okay. And then we also say that the third method is leaving out in indirect repetitions. That is the same points that are repeated using different words. For example, for example, overpopulation leads to scarcity of jobs because if there are too many people compared to the job opportunities available, people will be unemployed. So these are 24 words. Here, we are only important, okay, like we are looking at overpopulation leads to scarcity of jobs. Maybe the question is, what are some of the effects of, okay, maybe explain, okay, maybe for someone to talk about the effects of overpopulation. And we see the effect is scarcity of jobs. And then what is under that is just an explanation or give information about scarcity of jobs. Someone can just say that overpopulation leads to job scarcity. So when you say, because if there are too many people compared to the job opportunities available, so when you say there are too many people, that is overpopulation. Compared to the job opportunities available, people will be unemployed, and that means scarcity of jobs. So I don't know whether you can see that that is more of repetition. So you do away with some of the words that you feel have been repeated. And then the fourth method is what we call using grammatical reconstruction skills. Grammatical reconstruction is simply for you to construct another sentence, and the sentence must be grammatically correct. Like, for example, students that have no discipline find it difficult to excel in academics. There we are seeing 12 words, but someone can easily say students or undisciplined students find difficulty in excelling academically. Because when you say students that have no discipline, one word for this is undisciplined students find it difficult in excelling academically. Or someone can even say undisciplined students find it difficult to excel in academics. It is still okay. And then the other thing is about reconstruction is when someone says, boys do not like to wash saucepans, plates, cups, and bowls. These are 11 words, but someone can just say, boys hate to wash utensils, because do not like is hating. Saucepans, plates, cups, and bowls are utensils. So instead of you listing all those examples and you end up having so many points, it in actual sense, you can use one word to replace or maybe to talk about some of the things that have been listed. Like now someone, for example, instead of saying maybe just furniture, you start saying chairs, tables, and other things that we can call furniture. So you see, so you can use one word to replace some of those words that mean the same thing. Okay, so those are some of the things that we talk about when it comes to word reduction. Let me go to the chat and see whether there are a few questions that I can respond to before we pick the hands that are up. Okay, someone was saying I zoomed a little. I hope you were able to see after I zoomed. Is it true that teachers count the words in a summary? Yes, very true, we count. And then Monique is telling me to disable the pen on the screen to stop students from writing on the screen. Okay, thank you, Sheena. And then I don't know, I didn't get to see the other questions. Do we do one indented paragraph or more? One paragraph, one indented paragraph. Okay. So that is it. I didn't get to see the other question. Are we also going to talk about how we can increase words? When we talk about summary writing, we are looking at summarizing, not adding more words. Is it a must that you don't cross the rough copy? Yes. Do we underline the title? No. Okay. So I think I lost the other charts. I had seen some important questions. This one of using up to adding 5 additional words past the limit. I think we talked about that last week. So those people who were around last week, can we change words? I don't know what you mean, Tege. Princess, have you noticed any question in the chat that I need to respond to?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing people's hands up. Can pick a few hands.
Gavanian, please unmute.
Excuse me, madam. Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
Last time you said that when we are writing a minute, a summary, like if they say in about like 125 words, you can exceed like 5 or when they are below. But what if I read, like our teacher told us that if you write like 14 points, they can mark it. Though the words they have said like in about 125, and then for you write like you gave us the other sample, but we couldn't be able to write or to reach the number. Like for us, we wrote 85 words. Then for not more than, you explained that there you cannot exceed. Now I'm confused here in about.
Okay. Thank you, Gabanium. So, like I said last week, if the question is in about 120 words, you can exceed by 5 or have 115 words. And I said that sometimes if you have less words, like for example, they have said I have about 120, then for you have 100 words, then it shows that there are some points that you have left out that are very important. I think I remember mentioning that. So you should be careful and ensure that you extract as many points as you can. If you're looking at maybe the effects of overpopulation, extract all the effects of overpopulation. Because by the time we give you a passage, we first go through the passage, we make a guide, and then we count the number of words. And we know that a student can use 120 words to give all the points, or a student can use 115 words to give all the points. And for the extra 5 words, maybe if a student is too wordy, or maybe you have used other extra words, then you can be safe. But in most cases, ensure that if it is about 120, at least have 115 to 120 or 120 to 125. Don't exceed that. When you exceed that, it is a lot.
Another question, madam.
Yes, please.
If we are writing a summary writing, we are supposed to write a subject in capital letters.
A subject in terms of which subject?
Like a title.
Yes. Like I said, the title, personally, I encourage my students to write their title in capital letters and do not underline after writing it in capital letters. But someone else will tell you, their teacher told them to write it in small letters and underline, but you ensure that the key words are in capital letters or start with a capital letter. And I see that sometimes students find it hard to tell which ones are the key words. So they end up even writing the keyword starting with a small letter, and you end up failing that particular, you end up failing to get the mark for the title. So it is just good for a student to know that, have it at the back of your mind that I'm supposed to write my title in capital letters and not underlined.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
I have another question which states that
Okay, that's the last question.
Yes. Is it true that if you give like 14 points, is it possible to stop there, or you can add them before reaching the number of words that they have told you?
Depending, if the summary has 20 points and for you're giving 14, then for sure you will not get all the scores. So like I said, you need to extract all the points that are in the passage. If you're looking at the effects of pollution, or effects and causes and effects, look for the causes, extract them, and look for the effects and extract all of them. Because you might extract 14, but the summary has 18 or has 17. So you will miss out on some points.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Any other? I'm seeing so many hands up. Yes, Princess, any other?
Adeline, please unmute.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
My question is,
Adeline, you're breaking. You are breaking.
Now. My question is, madam, do you hear me?
Yes, please. Can we have someone else?
Okay, madam. J404, can you please unmute?
Yes, madam. Is it a must that we must have a rough copy?
Someone can respond to that in the chat about the rough copy. Just type your name there. Sorry, type your response there in the chat. All right, any other question, Princess?
Should I pick a hand?
Yes, pick a hand.
Tege, can you please unmute?
Thank you, teacher. Sham, I'm asking, like, I was asking, can you add up the words? Like, they can ask you, like, they can put in the text, like, someone who teaches students. Then can I just add it up and say, a teacher, and then I continue, something like that?
Yes, I think it is okay. You can, depending on what is in the passage. If you know the passage is talking about a teacher, not a lecturer, or maybe not a professor, then you can say a teacher. It's okay.
Okay, teacher. Thank you so
Because we are
much.
looking at word elimination. Thank you. Any
Okay.
other? Please, in case you have asked your question, you can lower your hand so that we know.
Excuse me, madam.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Madam, may you please go back to the slide of where we are emitting words from the undisciplined children who will fail if they, yeah. May you please go back to that slide, madam? Madam, my question is, we are allowed to actually like change the grammatical construction of the sentence?
Yes. As long as you don't change the meaning.
Okay. And another question, madam. This is the last question. Now if they have told us to pick, if the passage is asking for advantages if the passage is asking about disadvantages of pollution and there are exactly 14 points, we can still try to reconstruct we can still
No,
we can
Bakasi. Then you
yes.
stick to the 14 points that are in the passage. We are looking at extraction from the passage.
But what if the number of words exceeds? Like if they are supposed to be 120 words and then it exceeds up to 130.
No, then now
So
there you'll go through your rough copy and see which words are you supposed to reduce or which words can you remove, but still have all your points there and maybe not change the meaning of any sentence.
as long as the points have meaning, we can still reconstruct the grammatical construction. Okay,
If it's necessary.
Okay, thank you, madam.
You're welcome. Okay, any other? The hands.
Becky, kindly unmute.
You have to do this thing.
Thank you. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
So, madam, my question is, if the question is like in not more than 120 words, so it is a must you have to write 120 words only or less than, not more than.
Yes. In not more than. You write either 120 or less than 120.
Then if they say in about 120 words, so what do they mean? They're about
5 more or 5 less.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Welcome.
Hope, can you kindly unmute?
Someone else, Hope, is not saying anything.
Monique Shina, can you kindly unmute?
We can go to someone else.
Stephanie, can you kindly unmute?
My question is, good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon.
If I write like you said more, 5 words more and maybe 5 words less, yes?
Yes.
So what if I write like 10 more words or 15 are they going to cross me, or I'll have failed the whole summary writing?
Stephanie, you'll not fail the whole summary, but we shall only mark. If it's 120, we shall mark up like 125 and leave out the other extra words.
Okay,
So
thank
that's
you,
what
teacher.
happens. Welcome. Okay, I think maybe pick one more hand and we move to something else.
Okay, madam. Rima, can you kindly unmute?
Okay, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to ask, because like when you were at our school, my teacher of English told me that when you're writing the rough copy, you can list your points, then in the fair copy, you can make the paragraph. Is it okay if I list points in the rough copy?
No, Rima. Please don't list your points. It's very dangerous. Write your points in one paragraph. Rough copy, fair copy. Have even your rough copy must have a title and one indented paragraph.
Okay. I was just confused because a UNEB sample also showed listed points in the rough copy.
No, of course, that was just a sample.
Okay.
That was just a sample. And in most cases, when you look at the marking guides, the marking guides, of course, have listed responses. If you look at your teacher's marking guides, they have listed responses, but it doesn't mean that's what you're supposed to do. No.
Okay. Thank you.
So actually, Rima, that is one thing that makes some schools perform so well and other schools not performing well, such discrepancies. So you notice that some school maybe has so many students with D1s in English language, and another school has so many C5s and all that, such discrepancies. So it is important for you to have it at the back of your mind. Your rough copy should be the same as the fair copy, just that with your rough copy, you can cross some words, but with the fair copy, you're supposed to be, of course, neat. Okay, Linda, I see Linda's hand has been up for long. Linda, yes, please.
Madam, about my writing as
yes,
is it okay in one cup? Okay, like the chairs, the tables, you just write it as one so that the words reduce. But I thought we are not adding anything that is not there in the passage.
Yes. Not like, but for example, saucepans, plates, cups, and bowls. And someone says utensils. It's true, the word utensils might not be there in the passage, but for you as a student who studies English language, you know that utensils, saucepans, plates, cups, bowls are all referred to as utensils, or one word for all those things is what? Utensils.
So madam, it's allowed. I will get a mark.
Yes, you'll get a mark, other than listing saucepans, plates, cups, and bowls. You
Okay,
just
madam.
have one word, utensils. And it is part of word reduction.
Okay, madam. And another question is that, is it true that the first sentence, when you started listing your points, that it should have the subject, whether you've started with it or it has to probably be within the first sentence? Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Someone says, do commas have a limit? Yes. Only 2 commas in a sentence. Is it mandatory to remove examples? In word reduction, very true. Remove examples. Examples just give you more illustration. Someone, at least Josh, has responded to someone. Is it a must to indicate the number of words at the end? It is a must. All right. I'm seeing those are some of the questions that are seen in the chat. Okay, let me continue. Thank you so much, Favor, for reading, and let me have someone else, Princess, to continue with to read the key practices.
Anita, can you kindly unmute?
Key practices. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
Key practices. Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. Now I want to educate you on a few key practices that you should observe in summary writing. I've already hinted on one of them, which is the need to lift the exact words of the passage. Yes, you can use your own words, but just a little. When talk about your own words, like for example, now saying utensils instead of saying saucepans, cups, plates, and all that. And then maybe also adding things like as well as, and in addition to the above. But then in addition to, we don't advise you to even use that because you're just using a lot of words for nothing. Maybe as well as, and also, those are some of the words that you can use, but you should use them sparingly. We continue.
Why do I have to stick to the wording in the passage?
It's because the teacher makes the marking guide using the words of the passage. So if you overuse your own words, you might distort the points.
Okay.
Then most students fail because of miscopying words. Therefore, be extremely careful as you copy the word, especially those with similar pronunciation or spelling. Because someone can easily write stepmother instead of stepmother. You can say medical car instead of medical care. You can easily say it when you want to mean it. Instead of declining fish stocks, you can say declining fish stocks. So some students actually, you end up having a very different meaning of the word that was maybe in the passage. So it's important that when you're extract the words the way they are so that you don't change the meaning of the entire sentence.
Oh, that's crazy.
And the other habit you should guard against is the joining and splitting of words that I referred to earlier. This is a major source of failure these days. All in all, you have to write perfect and correctly punctuated English. If you miss a full stop or a vital comma somewhere, you end up with a 0. If you don't use a capital letter somewhere or misspell any word, you lose marks. So you have to be extra careful. To you all students, it is important that you're careful. Punctuate your work. When you're supposed to put a full stop, put a full stop. If there's supposed to be a comma, use a comma, so that you don't lose out on marks. So now we are going to talk about the opening sentence, as someone had talked about that. And the opening sentence is the same as what we call the topic sentence or the lead sentence. So we are going to talk about that. Let me see in the chat. When writing the title, does it have a limit of words? No. No, you're not limited depending on the title. The title can be long or short. Just stick to what is in the scenario. Do we draw lines before writing our summary? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what lines. I thought three commas is the limit. Rima, 2 commas. Use 2 commas in a sentence.
Shafiq.
Let me see. Do we have to draw a margin before writing the summary? Yes, you can draw the margin. That is okay. The subject, topic, sentence. Emmanuel, I think that's what I'm going to talk about. Are the words in the title also counted? I talked about that. It's the words in the title are not counted. This one, Shafiq, take your being single somewhere else. We are here to study. You're there thinking about being single. Take your stupidity somewhere else. People are serious. People are asking questions in the chat for you talking about being single. Shame on you. Must we repeat the subject every time it's mentioned? SK, no. You don't have to repeat the subject. We are going to also talk about that, but you don't have to repeat the subject. You can use the subject in the first sentence. Then the second sentence, you can use the pronoun. It, he, she, depending on what you are writing about. Is the title got from the task? Yes. So the title is got from the task. So that is it, Hannah. So that is it. You get the title from the task or from the scenario. So someone is saying, is it true that if you overuse commas as a punctuation mark, can make someone reap half marks? Actually, personally, when I mark and I see a student who has used many punctuation, like many commas in a sentence, because now it means that there are so many commas, like 5 commas in a sentence. I will only mark the first 2 points and leave the rest. Must we capitalize all the pronouns? Yes, because if the pronoun is starting a sentence, for example, he, maybe it is also caused by maybe dumping rubbish on the on land or in water. So it must start with a capital I. All right, so I think that is it. Besije, you can unmute.
Yes, good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon.
I had a question earlier on. Sorry I came in late, but referring to the title, instead of writing bold or capital letters, teacher told us that we can use a capital letter on the beginning of every word. I was asking if that's possible too.
True. I think I talked about that, Besije. I said yes.
You
can capitalize the keywords in the title. But the only challenge is, I said sometimes students don't know how to identify the key words. That is why we encourage students to use capital letters.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome. All right, so let's go to the opening sentence. Can we have another teacher, Princess?
Okay, madam. Ephora, kindly unmute.
The opening sentence is, thank you very much. Now help me on how to properly open my summary.
So the first sentence is called the topic sentence, and it must mention the topic or subject of the summary. What is the summary about? It is about, is it about accidents? Is it about traffic? Is it about child abuse? Is it about education? Is it about death penalty, wildlife, COVID, pollution, environmental degradation, all those things? It must be mentioned in the first sentence, which is called the topic sentence. So whatever the summary is about must be clearly mentioned in the first sentence. For example, if the question is, in about 100 words, summarize the usefulness of religion. So there you know that religion is the subject or the topic of the summary and must be mentioned in the opening sentence. If it is in about 100 words, summarize the causes of road accidents. Then you know that you're supposed to talk about road accidents. You're supposed to talk about child abuse. You're supposed to talk about education. So, religion, being the topic, must be mentioned in the opening sentence.
So for that question, for example, I should begin by saying religion is useful because it teaches people to avoid sin and love each other.
Yes, that's correct, because you have clearly mentioned the subject, religion. If you don't mention the subject, you will lose a mark. For example, if you say, people are taught to avoid sin and love each other. That sentence, though it has the points and is grammatically correct, will be deficient because you have not specifically mentioned religion as its subject. So it is very important that you mention religion as a subject. So that is supposed to be the first sentence. So you can continue.
Am I allowed to refer to the subject using a pronoun in the opening sentence? For example, can I start by saying it is useful because it teaches people to avoid sin and love each other? After all, the word religion appears in the title.
So the subject in the first sentence must be in noun form. I hope you know what, we know parts of speech class, you know nouns, you know, you know a noun, you know what a noun is, you know what a pronoun is, you know what a verb is, you know what an adjective is, what a preposition, all those parts of speech. And we know that a noun is a name of a person, a thing. So if you use the pronoun in your first sentence, you will lose a mark. Reason being, you are supposed to mention that particular pronoun, that particular noun before giving it another name. For example, if the summary is about the causes of traffic jams, you are expected to start like, traffic jams are caused by big numbers of vehicles in the city. Don't start by saying they are caused by the big number of vehicles in the city. We'll continue. Theora, is it Thora or someone? Where is the person reading?
Yes, good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon.
As it says, but I'm free to use the pronoun in the other sentences.
Yes, after the first sentence, you are very free to use a pronoun as much as you want, although you are advised to reuse the noun here and there. The other thing is that you don't need to repeat the opening words in every sentence for every sentence or for every point. This will be too monotonous and increase the word count unnecessary. For example, let's compare these summaries about the benefits of going to school. Muhez, you can read them.
Okay, teacher, they say going to school has the benefit of making people literate. Going to school has the benefit of enabling people to interact. Going to school has the benefit of teaching people social behavior. Going to school has the benefit of training people for jobs. In brackets, 42 words, anonymous repetition of the subject. Then the second summary is saying, going to school has a benefit, making people literate. It enables people to interact, teaches good social behavior, and trains people for jobs. In brackets, only 23 words in a naturally well-expressed format.
Yes, thank you, Muhezi. So class, you can see what happens when you keep repeating the subject everywhere without first using the commas or joining your sentences using and. So going to school has a benefit of making people literate. Going to school, it is too much. So we are looking at using, we can see that going to school has the benefit of making people literate. So we can see that this is the first sentence, or what we call the lead sentence or the topic sentence, and it has the subject going to school. Then the second sentence has the pronoun it, enables people to interact, teaches good social behavior, and trains people for jobs. So you can see that. Okay, any question about the topic sentence? Only put up your hand if you have a serious question, please. Let me first lower all the hands. I only want people that have questions. But before that, let me first look at what is in the chat. What if I have made a mistake in the fair copy? Do I lose marks? Of course, it shouldn't be so many mistakes, maybe 1 or 2. How many points are given for the rough copy? The rough copy is not given any point, but it's supposed to be there. So the first sentence must give answers straight away. Yes, Atugonza, very true. You start your answers immediately from the first point. Please don't waste your time explaining, defining what pollution is, what going to school is, what traffic jam is. No. Then, the questions are too many. So when writing any statement in the summary, for example, after the full stop, is it a mandate to start with an article? No, Doreen. It's not a mandate to start with an article. Why are you introducing the article? Maybe use a pronoun. Use a pronoun to introduce another sentence. Make sure that you have a full sentence. You can use a pronoun, use the noun, use a pronoun, use the noun like that. Teacher, can we what? People, please go slow. Teacher, can we put the word include after the first sentence? No, Celine, please don't put include, because the moment you start saying include, then the next thing is you're going to put a colon or a semicolon. Include, like, the following. No, just go straight to the point. Education is very useful in a way that yes, it is okay. Maybe education is useful in a way that it helps one to maybe become literate, something like that. Or you can even say education is important because it enables one to become literate. It is okay. Because starting that like such a way, because she said that words like useful. She said that words like useful or important. I don't know what you mean. Depending on, maybe like, for example, people, let's be guided by the scenario. Like, for example, now you have a scenario like, explain to your friends the usefulness of education, or explain to your friends the importance of education. So you will be guided by the scenario. And now you'll be guided by the scenario. Don't stick to what, some of you just stick to what my teacher told me this, but you have not even seen the passages. You've not seen the scenario. So please be guided by the scenario. Do what the scenario is asking you to do. Sometimes words fail to reach the number asked. So it is important that you extract all the points. Habiba, I hope someone has responded to that. Don't use quotation marks anywhere. Please don't use quotation marks. What if the points are over and they ask for many words? Can I add mine? No, don't add yours. Just stick to what is in the passage. So we use commas when separating sentences. Use full stops to separate sentences, not commas. Use commas to separate points. SK. That is for you. Hope you'll not forget that. Oliver, someone can respond to that. I had mentioned that. Are the maximum points in the summary 20 points, depending on the summary? Sometimes they're even 10, depending on the summary. All right. So those are some of the things. And then let me go through the colons and commas. Can we have another reader? Princess, you have so many people.
Doreen.
The rest, please lower your hands. Doreen, where are you?
Okay, let me choose somebody else. Venus.
Can pick someone else?
Teacher.
I think Venus had unmuted. Venus, you can unmute.
Teacher, educate me about the use of colons and commas.
So these two punctuation marks have restrictions in summary writing. Let me begin with a semicolon and colon. Please totally avoid using these two when introducing your points. If possible, avoid words that tempt you to use the colons. That is why I was telling someone to avoid using words like include, like, the following, for example. Avoid that. So avoid these two in summary writing. Colons and semicolons, use them elsewhere, not in summary writing.
How is that, teacher?
For example, if you start your sentence like, the following are the causes of traffic jams, or the reasons behind traffic jams are as follows, or the causes of traffic jams are, each point you give after the colon, you will get half a mark. That was back then, but these days you don't get any mark. So let me illustrate with this. You can continue, you can read that, Venus. You can read the first, the improper way
Now,
and the proper way.
the improper way and the proper way. I read them. Yeah?
Yes.
The disadvantages of overpopulation are pressure on land, scarcity of jobs, and insufficient amenities. The proper way is the disadvantages of overpopulation are pressure on land, scarcity of jobs, and insufficient amenities.
Okay.
Now let us
Thank you.
turn. Okay, welcome.
Thank you, Chitibwa. So you can see,
You're
class,
welcome.
that any student who does it in an improper way, these days we don't give any mark. So you need to use commas, not colons or semicolons. Continue.
Now let us turn to the commas. Am I allowed to use many commas as I want?
If you don't want to lose marks, you should not use more than 2 commas in a sentence to give your points. The simple formula is 0.1, comma, 0.2, comma, 0.3, and 0.4. For example, here we are seeing the disadvantages of overpopulation are pressure on land, comma, scarcity of jobs, comma, insufficient amenities, and then maybe add unemployment. You see, something like that. So those are 4 points. So if you want to use 2 commas, then you ensure that you have 4 points in a sentence. 4 points in a sentence. So this means that the maximum number of points that you can join with commas is 4. In fact, personally, I still recommend that what I have said, 0.1, 0.1 plus supposed to be 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4. So that is it. So I hope you've understood.
I'm a bit confused. I am a bit confused.
Let me illustrate. Imagine you are summarizing the disadvantages of circumcision. It is not acceptable to write it like this. Female circumcision leads girls into early marriages, forces girls to get very old husbands, leads to poor performance in school, prevents the girl from enjoying her childhood, makes the girls prone to abuse, leads to a lot of pain, and makes the girls suffer psychological damage.
Surely, the commas are too many and the sentence sounds clumsy. Kindly show me how I should do it.
I thought you would try it since you are the candidate, but since you want me to spoon feed you, I will do that, Chitibwa. So someone can say, female circumcision leads girls into early marriages. You can see there is a comma. Forces girls to get very old husbands, comma. Leads to poor performance in school and prevent the girls from enjoying her childhood, full stop. It makes the girl prone to abuse, comma, leads to a lot of pain, and makes the girl suffer psychological damage, full stop.
Thank you, teacher. But wait a moment. What if the sentence is in the passage? Is the one with very many commas and I simply copy it as it is? Will I still be punished?
Yes. It will be your fault if you copy the many commas as they are in the passage. It's your duty to make some changes so that not more than 2 commas appear in a sentence. So this means that you create another sentence from the original sentence. So you can break that sentence into other sentences. Because as a student, you have studied the rule of what? Of using commas. So you should have it at the back of your mind that you're not supposed to use more than 2 commas.
Now, what if I overuse conjunctions and connectors?
This is not also acceptable because you will end up with a very long and queer sounding sentence. Like the commas, there should not be more than 2 conjunctions or connectors in a sentence. Do not be desperate to chain up your points abnormally. So only use one connector or one and in a sentence.
What if I don't use a single punctuation mark in my summary?
You will get a 0. When you just have your summary the way flat, without any punctuation mark, without any full stop, without any comma, for sure, I promise you that you will get a 0. All right, thank you so much, Tibwa, and everyone that has been able to read. I'm only picking, let me first go through the chat to see whether there's anything that I need to respond to. And then from next week, in case we have our lesson, we shall look at incomplete sentences. Incomplete sentences in a summary. But why is summary writing applied in life? Everything in life has to be summarized. Can I use block paragraph? Take no. It has to be an indented paragraph. How many paragraphs? Manange, you people. I have talked about that thing I don't know how many times. I think there is nothing much in the chat. So is as well as a connector? Yes, Patricia, it is a connector. And another example, in most cases, connectors join sentences. Like for example, and also, as well as, those are the connectors. Those are the major connectors that we use. So actually, as well as is a connector, also is a connector, then conjunction, you can talk about and. I think even also can also act as a conjunction. How many ands should appear in a sentence? 1 and. Why aren't titles marked? You people, I think this person did not attend the lesson last week. Last week I said that these days we give a mark for the title. There is something called summary structure, where you have a mark for the title and the mark for the paragraph. Then you have what we call summary content. So there now we mark the points that you have given in the summary. So titles were not marked back then, but these days we mark the title. Can we use no sooner? No, please. No sooner you take it to composition. If the short form is in the, Nicole, if the short form is in the passage, you use it. If it is not, write the full form or write it in full. Is it good to use many examples in a summary writing? Sheldon, really? Someone wants to go back to number 40. Okay, Bakasi, there you are. Okay, some of these questions. Okay, thank you, Ntege, for telling them. Some of them have not been paying attention. Is it allowed to use less words? Elijah, explain that. What's the difference between block paragraph and indented? Can someone just put up your hand and respond to that one? Let me first
Madam,
lower. Who? Okay, Princess, can you explain that?
Block paragraph is like when you write a paragraph of about 5 lines or 4 words, then you skip a line, and then you write the other paragraphs as you skip lines. But the indented paragraphing is when you leave some space, like after the margin.
Yes. Thank you, Princess. That's very true. You leave some space from the margin. Another thing is, apart from skipping lines, some people also just write one paragraph without leaving space from the margin, one full one, from the margin to the other part of the margin, the entire paragraph. So that is a block paragraph. Okay. So these people who have put up their hands, I don't know what questions they want to ask. I'm only picking, I'm not seeing any hand. I have Stephanie one. Stephanie, kindly unmute yourself and tell us. Ask your question.
I'm not asking a question. I just wanted to give the closing prayer.
Okay, Stephanie, I'll pick you when it comes to the closing prayer. Adeline.
I wanted to
Adeline,
ask,
your network. Thekla.
Okay, madam, I wanted to ask, what tense are we supposed to use when writing the
We shall
summary?
look at tense. We shall look at the tense, but the tense, you follow the tense that is in the scenario.
Okay, thank you, madam.
You're welcome. Olive.
Okay, madam, are you going to share the notes in the help groups?
I will not share the notes, but the recording will be shared.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Adeline, make sure you have a good network connection before putting up your hand. Becky?
My question is, if the title is wrong, it means all the summary is wrong. Or
No. The title can be wrong, but the summary is correct. J404.
Let's see, madam, where can we get these notes?
I have just responded to that. Linda?
Madam,
Yes, Linda?
Madam, on number 41, there is a sentence which was having only one comma.
Where? Yes, it is
Yeah,
okay.
it
The
makes
sentence
the
can have one comma. It is okay. Your sentence can have one comma. Your sentence can have one comma. It's okay. But we are saying that the rule is that you should not use more than 2 commas. So you can use 1 comma.
Madam, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So thank you so much, class, for being a wonderful class. Thank you for participating. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you, Princess, for being a very good co-host. At least I even saw you were able to remove Shafiq from class. That was really good. Shafiq was disturbing us. So thank you so much. May God bless you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your evening. And I request ways. Bessie, your hand is up. I don't know what is wrong.
Thank you, teacher, for today.
You are welcome, Bessie. All right, Adongo, where are you? Let me ask you to unmute now. You can pray.
So let us humble ourselves for the closing prayer. Loving Father, I want to thank you for this day. We want to thank you for our teacher. We want to thank you that she has really conducted us well. We want to thank you that as we are ending the lesson, we may not leave whatever we have learned just here on phone, but we may put it into practice and learn more. Father, King of Glory, bless our teacher for the knowledge that she has applied into us, for the knowledge she has given us. May you protect each and everyone who has been in the lesson, who has participated. In Jesus' name I've prayed and believed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for that beautiful. So have a
Everyone, bye-bye.
Thank you, madam.
Everyone, bye.
Goodbye,
madam.
See you next summer. Bye.